Bismillah and welcome to another episode of The Bridge. Today I have a long friend of mine that I know many years ago.
Yes.
Who's doing well for himself. I appreciate you coming through, bro. Some of you know him as Kenny on radios and things like this. So I know him from back in the day when he was young. So I appreciate you coming through, bro.
Alhamdulillah, man.
Yeah, we start from the beginning, bro. What's your name? And just start from the journey, akhi.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny, a lot of people know me as Kenny Allstar. I guess I'm best known as being like a DJ or radio presenter.
Cool.
Where
are you from?
The term personality is what I like to say, what some people say personality. But yeah, so I grew up in Lewisham, between Deptford, Catford and Lewisham Park. So I grew up around three areas, but predominantly more of the Lewisham side, and from my early school years around the Deptford area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to school in Grove Park.
Okay,
so
from Deptford all the way to Grove.
Yeah. So my auntie lived off Evelyn Street in Deptford, and I would go there when I was in trouble. It's like
Daddy setting you like that.
Yeah. So when it got a bit much because again, my parents are they migrated in the early 90s over here.
Where are they from?
Nigeria.
Okay.
So West African Nigerian, and I remember my mum had come here first, and she was juggling a lot of jobs.
Both your parents was working, yeah?
Yeah. But I know my mum came first.
Okay.
And my dad came after. And then, my mum was always juggling jobs, man. Dinner lady, she worked at, I think, at McDonald's for a little while, cleaning jobs. And she couldn't,
oversee you and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Exactly. So I spent a lot of time kind of from place to place. So there was times where, again, I would go to my aunties in Deptford, or I had another auntie in Vauxhall Bridge. I'll be there sometimes. And then there was times where I was in Bournemouth. I used to stay like a care facility because, it was hard for, my Imam Shakil will show you my parents tried really hard, but it was a handful.
It was a handful for them.
Yeah, I think at the best of times, only because, as first generation, like Africans coming into this country to try and adapt, it's the I don't want to say the typical migrant story, but it is like that, right? There's a language barrier. There's, trying to earn income and trying to find, your feet. It was very hard.
So sorry, did you come with them or was you born here?
No, I was born here.
Okay.
So yeah.
So they was the migrants, but you was born here.
There you go. Yeah. So I was the only child of like both sides of my parents' family that was conceived and born here. So yeah.
He's a British kid.
Yeah, I guess a British kid. And yeah, I spent a lot of time amongst Lewisham is definitely, as a borough, what I remember being a part of me growing up. That's why I guess I value being from where I'm from so much. Because the stories, of going through everything in this borough, you've seen some of the moments that I've had. There's been good times, bad times, you learn about yourself through your environment and your community, right? So I was kind of engaged to that very early on, around the borough. So yeah.
So let's take it back. So what primary school you went to then?
So I went to two primary schools. The first one was Hull Beach, which was in Catford. And then I got kicked out of Hull Beach. I had, I think at a young age, I was very quiet because, I had social issues, like socializing with people. Only because, as a young kid growing up and trying to understand, and not having siblings didn't help in a community where a lot of my peers had siblings. So they were socially more aware, So in playgrounds, if I felt like someone was kind of bullying me, I'd react and overreact. And, I had issues dealing with a bit like my anger and just how I processed just the way people viewed me. From a young age, I know I always wanted to be viewed in the highest way possible. But I was too young to kind of understand that in primary school. So whenever I felt like things wasn't right, I would overreact. And unfortunately, I got kicked out of my first primary school when I was young, Whole Beach. And then I spent the last 2 years of primary school. So I got kicked out at maybe around, I think it was year 4 or end of year 4. So I spent year 5, year 6 in Hither Green.
Okay.
So I'd moved to Hither Green.
Hither Green Primary School.
Hither Green Primary School, yeah. So those were the 2 primary schools that I went to, Hither Green, yeah, and Catford, Whole Beach. So yeah, and I spent a lot of time, you know, it's always weird because a lot of people don't know when I tell them the story about getting kicked out of primary school. How do you get kicked out of primary school? Like,
That's like your good years.
so, yeah, it's like, what is it? But again, I knew that I had a lot to learn about myself at that stage, and you know.
Do you have no role models, no peers, no one to guide you in any way?
Do you know what, Aki? I'll be honest with you, yeah. Not really. I think a lot of the love that I found in like, again, I wasn't very sociable, so I went to like media formats for my way of socializing. So I picked up radio because we didn't have a TV in the house, so we had radio though. We had like those alarm clocks that had FM dial, and you know, I used to play around with that. We had vinyl. My mum had like vinyl, you know, the Technique kind of vinyl decks, and I would play around with that all the time.
The DJ kind of ones.
Yeah, but it was only just the one. You know, they would come in a hi-fi system, and at the top of the hi-fi system, you would have the vinyl.
Yeah,
it's a disc,
So scratching the records, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
from early, I just found the enjoyment there, you know. I didn't really want to engage in playing like with toys but like my mum, you know, she tried everything to try and like even try to get me to be a bit more social and stuff. But I was really adamant that I was okay with coming home after school, just do it, like just playing with the vinyl and listening to different sounds and different music. Because again, in my household, that it did take precedent because there was different type of music going on in the house, you know, from the native like Nigerian music that my parents would listen to, or you know, even there was just different sounds coming from my house all the time, and we even had like Arabic cassette tapes, you know, where I think I was too young to remember, but I think I was hearing like someone reciting like surahs, you know what I mean? Like I heard everything. Like it would be that or reggae or Afro beats, or like there was always something around music around my house. So I guess that's what kept me going. And
can you just step back? So one, you know, just you mentioned concerning the parents.
Yeah.
And you know, mum working 2 jobs,
Yes.
dad working hard. I remember dad, you know, coming to the masjid, meeting him.
Yeah.
I spoke to him today actually, and he was very happy.
Yeah.
He was more happy that you're coming to link me than speaking to me. But you know, in terms of appreciating the effort that they sometimes put into, and also sometimes kids become judgmental of mistakes that parents make, not understanding the context or the parents are going through at that time. You mentioned language sometimes is a barrier. Communication is an issue. You know, getting a good job is difficult. You don't know the system. So you might have to do certain jobs, McDonald's or something else, just to make ends meet. And not for you, but I'm just saying generally, I think for the viewers, for kids to appreciate the hard work, especially immigrant parents, go through.
It is. Yeah, we would never understand, I think, because technically, what are we, first generation here? So we will always know what it feels like to have a certain level of privilege, even if we didn't have much growing up. Like I said, I didn't have a television, but I still had other ways to entertain myself at home, you know, whether it be listening to music or whatever, you know. I would never have known that we wasn't able to eat as much as other children could eat at home. But, you know, my mum would do everything to make sure I felt like I had enough, you know? Like I wasn't...
You didn't need to ask for nothing.
Yeah, I didn't need to, I feel like I had to ask for anything. But yeah, yeah, you're right. I think we do take for granted.
I think in the moments when you're at that age, is very difficult because the society is not a society that promotes respect to the parents like that. I've always had this little conversation. I always keep bringing up, if you watch The Simpsons, if you watch any of these kind of shows, the parents are always kind of mocked. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? So when your kids are observing this, you tend to look at your mum and your dad like the other. And everyone else is like the inner group and your mum and your dad are the outer group. They don't know about your secrets.
Or they don't know enough. They're not smart enough. I know better. I'm smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
I speak English fluently. They maybe can't.
Yeah.
All of those
little things like that as well. Even like,
So-
you see, because even like now, for example, even up to now, I might teach my mum how to do something on the iPhone. Yeah. But just because I know how to do something on the iPhone, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden I know it all.
Of course.
Just because I can do that. But it's just, I guess it's the way that the level of education that we got. Like, I guess in the Western world is different to what they was exposed to growing up. So, you know, I do think we do take that for granted. But
So say, Kenny, in those early years,
yeah,
mum and dad are Muslim.
yes,
Primary age, Whole Beach, Heather Green. These are local schools in, not far from the masjid, from the mosque.
yeah.
What was at that younger age, your 10, 11, in your late primary years, concerning your connection to Islam, Deen, faith, Allah? Was anything going through your mind?
Yeah, so there was a lot. Like I said, I always was kind of so we always had a Quran in the house all the time, you know.
Oh, sorry, your family's Muslim.
Yeah. So my mum originally was born into Christianity,
Okay.
and then she converted, but my dad was always Muslim,
Okay.
all the way. And you know, when my mum had converted, my mum kind of felt like a sense of freedom in herself. She would always tell me that, you know, she felt like within the faith of Islam, she could be herself and understand herself more, you know. And I was always kind of like curious about that, you know. I was always, and again, naturally, even though I didn't stay on my deen all the time, like even when I was a child, I can't say that I was always on my deen, but there was always the reminder of how important prayer is. So when I was much more younger, we didn't miss a prayer, unless obviously I was in school, right? So we would pray 5 times a day. You know, I'd wake up for Fajr, tired. But, you know, like, my dad would teach me how to you know, do wudu and pray in a certain way, and, you know, and I would always have a Quran in the room. So even if I wasn't reading it, my mum would insist that the Quran was in the same room that I was at all time.
Yeah.
And she would just say your Fatiha before bed. Even if you're not gonna, you know, read this Quran, just like understand the basics of what this means. Like,
Yeah. So there was a people that was connected to their spirituality.
yes, my mum and dad are connected to this, you know, to being Muslim. And I guess for me, it's a bit of a hard one, because when I entered secondary school years...
Which school did you go to? Which school? Secondary school?
So it was Mallory, but it's Aberdasher's Ass. There we go.
Knights Academy now, yeah.
Yeah, now,
They had
you see...
a big name.
See, Mallory, around year 7, year 8...
This was 2000 and what now?
Oh, you know what?
4s, 5s?
No, later than that, I believe. Yeah, it was later than
Mad days.
about that. Yeah,
8 or 9.
maybe 8 or 9. Yeah, but it had a
bad.
mad reputation,
And it had a lot of different groups. So it had a lot of migrants, from what I remember.
bro. That was what was my first going to secondary school. Was my first biggest test, for many reasons, because I started kind of, how do I say this? So like, I was exposed to a lot more.
In year 7.
In year 7, year 8, like especially those 2 years, like I started seeing how important status was amongst our community, and it felt like I got the early years of understanding the future of how
When you
young
say
people...
Our community, who do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm talking about Lewisham Borough, and just like even like amongst the black community, and like, you know, like my school, Mallory is a melting pot of different cultures, you know? So you had people from different backgrounds, different countries, and again, it was kind of segregated into groups, kind of.
It was, yeah.
So you had to go and find your place early.
Similar to like prison, man. The skinheads in one corner.
Yeah,
in one corner. The Latinos in one corner.
It was like that.
But prior to, I think, you know, like the early 2000s, it was quite racist as well.
Yeah, because I used to hear about like people marching.
Yeah, so Downham used to
be. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like Downham and Grove Park, it's nothing like Downham and Grove Park now.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember even from like those days, I would get told certain areas, or Bermondsey, Millwall.
Eltham.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I remember even like when I used to go see my auntie, because obviously Deptford Peeps Estate is kind of right around the corner from Bermondsey / Millwall. And I remember always getting told, don't go past this part of Surrey Quays.
McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. Or don't go past McDonald's. Or when you get to Surrey Quays, when you see the shopping centre, you've gone too far, you know? And I would like know these things. But when I like got into, and this is going to bring me back to understanding, you know, what it meant to be Muslim, because again, I was struggling to find myself in school with so much different groups and different what was going on. And I remember around that same time, because I felt like I was kind of following a certain crowd, I felt like I had to be a bit like more on the kind of greasy side. Like, you know what I mean? I needed to be a bit more just to gain acceptance, because at the end of the day, I saw when people used to get bullied in school, I didn't like it, but you know, I used to stand up for myself a lot, because remember, the reason why I got kicked out of primary school is because I felt like people were bullying me. And then that was just my reaction was fight, not even flight, fight back. Like, don't, you know what I mean? And then I remember I'm in amongst a lot of people in school. I'm trying to find my place and everything. And then it got to a point where I think my mum could sense that I was going off the rails a little bit. Like, I wasn't kind of focused. And to be in year 7, year 8, you know, it's a different proposition getting kicked out when you're as young as you're in primary school. But when you're in secondary school, you know, the whole thing is SATs, GCSEs, college, and my parents wanted me to do everything, complete education fully. And if anything they couldn't achieve, they wanted me to achieve that. So I remember that's when I got introduced to the Madrasa. And my dad, this was always our local mosque, you know, the Lewisham, the Lewisham mosque was always my local mosque.
I heard you met a militant imam.
Do you know what? I think I did. I can't put my finger on who it was. But yeah. No, but to be fair, and this is why, again, back to Imam Shakil, because he's very integral. I told him this on the phone. Why he's so integral is because in that early 2 years of secondary school, I was losing it, bro. Honestly, bro. I was losing it. I was trying to be bad. I was trying to do this, trying to do that. And then it's weird because I got sent to the Madrasa. So my dad, I think, might have met Imam Shakil, or, you know, asked for information on how I can get involved in come to the Madrasa. Because again, my parents put my badness at times down to my disconnection with the faith and Islam. And, you know, my dad would threaten me by sending me back to Nigeria. That was the original
Typical
thing,
one,
right? Yeah. And then I realised he used to say that so much. I was like, oh, look, I'm still not on the plane. So then I kind of got complacent, extra complacent. But then I remember when my dad met Imam Shakil, I think it became a thing where it was like, all right, cool, we need to get him to just at least understand his faith a bit more, you know? Because like I said, I will not be a hypocrite. I was never fully on my deen, but I was always proud to say I'm Muslim because I saw how happy like my parents were to represent that and what it the peace that it brought to them, and I admired that. So
remember you were a kid as well, so year 7, year 8, you know, to be proud of being a Muslim is probably enough at that age and that time. That, you know, being that at that time and having that kind of like emotion and feeling, that's good enough. But the other thing I did tell you on the phone, I said, you know, Dad, you know, when I spoke to him, my first question, how's Dad? So I was missing his dad more than Kenny. And I spoke to his dad today. But the dad, he would drop him, pick him up, wait outside, always give salam, always be respectful. So I remember him, mashallah, Allah, you know what, strong.
And one of the reasons he used to make sure he was always there was because I guess the option of me going back home to Nigeria was out the window. So him sending me to Madrasa, it was like, all right, cool. You must be there every single week. I think I used to go on a Monday or Wednesday or something like that. 2 days a week, I think. I was always in the Madrasa. And he would monitor me all the time. He would just follow, even if he had to he would make sure I've gone in, I've gone out. And it got to a point where the first few weeks, it was hard to kind of acclimatize because, again, I had not learned any form of Arabic. I didn't you know what I mean? I didn't know
basics of
the basics,
like ABCD kind of thing.
Literally. And it was so, I remember I was struggling for the first couple of weeks. I remember Mum Shakira had to proper help me out with because it was just, it wasn't just, the pronunciation was important. It was the way I was reading, I just Arabic, it spun me those first couple of weeks. But then why I knew going to the madrasa helped me, because after maybe a month, I felt my dad didn't need to check to see if I was going there. Mm-hmm. I think I had learned, I was around so much good people in my class.
Is he there?
Yeah.
He's got for 2 hours, yeah.
Literally, after a while, he would just call ahead, because I think I would come back and he would show me, so what did you learn at the madrasa?
As if he knew already.
Yeah, exactly. So I would tell him, this is what I learned, and these are the books I come back with, and and he noticed that, all right, cool, this is working. This is doing what, this has served its purpose. And it's at a time where they thought I was just kind of going off the rails, I was getting in trouble, and it's just I was hanging around with loads of different people in the area, not focused. So that's why I say this, it was an integral part of my come up. And a lot of people don't know. Even in my class, there was great people in my class. And they would, after a while, when I was interacting, it helped me socially as well. Remember, I had social integration issues. But because one thing I learned about coming to madrasa and coming to mosque in general is you will never get judged when you walk through the mosque doors. Never.
I wanted to ask you that question, might come later on, because, I didn't see you for a while.
Yeah.
And then a brother, I think you posted a picture on one Eid, Eid Mubarak or something. So a brother showed me. And I said, subhanAllah, that's Kenny.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to my mind was, Kenny's not coming to the mosque.
Yeah.
Have I or the mosque done something negative?
Never.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
It was not that. I think, because I know what period of time you were talking about. I mean, I think one thing I had to take into consideration, I guess, is trying to, because, this is long after, I'd stopped coming to the madrasa, and it was kind of going intense with my education side of things, and knowing that I was gearing up to go to university as well.
Okay.
So that commitment of coming to the mosque as well, because I would just come to the mosque to pray. Sometimes I'd come to the mosque to just sit in there, maybe around Maghrib times, I would just after Maghrib just sit down and cross my legs and just look around and just, you get what I'm saying?
Comprehension time.
Salam with all the brothers, and I was just there sometimes, even just to be, centered, and
Did you find that love? Did you find that acceptance?
I did. But then I felt, do you know what? I think if I'm going to be completely real, whenever I commit to, a cause, whether it be family, whether it be my religion, I don't like to half commit. Because I think that you become a hypocrite in yourself, because look, my passion was for music. And I know there was times where, there were some brothers that were this music thing, you know what I mean? It's a bit...
That was probably him, yeah?
To be fair,
I knew that was coming,
He never came on that tip with me, to be fair. But, there were
we was in it ourselves them those days.
Exactly. So, but I couldn't. Sometimes I felt kind of bad. Like I felt like, how can I really be coming to mosque all this time? And I know when one of the brothers salami says salam and asked me, what have you been up to? How can I tell them, like, okay, so basically I've been doing that, I've been working on this mixtape, or like I have intentions to go and do this and pursue a career. I know it will become a situation where I will feel like
I don't think so, Kenny. I think that might be your perception.
Yeah.
But maybe, and not everybody.
There are some people.
There will be some. Because we have that, me and him, Abdul Latif specifically, have that discussion concerning the bridge, what kind of questions you're going to ask. And I always tell him, I say, look, the bridge is about positivity.
Yeah.
Don't ask negative questions. And don't, because a person can do anything and at the same time serve a purpose. Yeah? Better youngsters. Contribute positivity towards youngsters. Young ads came, he done a soup kitchen outside the mosque.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So one of the things, every youngster that came, he would say, look, what you doing? Somebody would say, look, I want to be a musician, I want to be a footballer, I want to be a teacher. The funny thing was, police just passed by and he's like, Jakes, man, he's Jakes. And the kid came, what do you want to be? He goes, police officer. He just looked around, what do I say? But everybody else, he was saying, you know what? Don't give up. Keep on striving. And that's, even with whatever industry you're in, there can be positivity, in that industry that you can give towards youngsters and youth. Yeah. And that's what the bridge is about. But we have that discussion, me and him,
Yeah, and I felt like, again, that was a contribution. And naturally, I was starting to do really well.
So was that in school? Did you start that journey?
The music journey has been going on from when I was in primary school. Because again, like I felt...
You had a passion for it.
I felt like I had a passion. And I felt like I was bringing something different. Like at the time, as a black, kid from Lewisham, like where we come from, no one from our side, our neck of the woods, could ever picture being on like a mainstream radio station, like,
Radio 1
like
Extra.
Radio 1 or 1 Extra. Like we didn't even have anyone that has ever done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I felt like I was on a journey where, okay, I think I'm about to do something that's never really been done for any of the brothers in our area. So if I can kind of break through that door, then inshallah more brothers can cut through and, do more. So it became like, I became conflicted. And naturally, when I'd moved out of Lewisham, that also contributed to not being able to be around a lot more. There was times in Eid that every time, my mum would always tell me, come down for Eid. Let's pray in Mansfield Park. Be amongst our brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, even if you're just gonna come for that one day, please. Mm-hmm. And that's why for many years, it's like you won't see me, but you'll see me when we're praying, for Eid, you'll see me there. And because that, again, that loyalty and that, again, to my mum, I felt, my responsibility at the bare minimum is to make sure, I'm there, when she asked me to be there. And naturally, I felt for myself, even sometimes I would think, oh, you know what, man, like I should be here more. And then I'll see like a lot of like my old school friends, and then, next thing you know, I'm just reliving certain moments that I used to do after the Madrasa, when I used to go to, remember when it was called, was it Kebab-alicious?
Yeah,
I think it's Best Kebab now.
Kebab,
Best. Like I remember after that, I'd go and get wings there, and every time it brings memories, but it also kind of triggers a feeling in me where it's like, I know I should be a bit better, and then it's like I get conflicted, Aki, and that's
sometimes it also, remember, Allah Ta'ala has also made us with shortcomings, and sometimes it doesn't have to be this or that.
Yeah.
A person can be doing certain things, which might be, let's say, a perception of some that it's not okay. But at the same time, while doing something which might not be okay, a person can do good deeds.
Yes.
I mean, Muhammad Ali, boxer.
Yeah.
Look at the contribution this man gave towards the deen. Listen, one of the brothers at his funeral, he said, look, Muhammad Ali made Islam cool. Yeah. him being, promoting Islam in his field, he made Islam cool. So even within your industry and your kind of like work, you can give positivity towards Deen and Islam and so on.
And that's what I try to do at this stage of my life. I try to do that, and this is why I find it important to be on platforms like this, because again, I'm sitting with brothers that actually know where I come from, that have been there from like when I was a kid, and there's a whole community of people that know me as this brand of Kenny Allstar, but don't know these kind of things about me. So
your schooling, back to Mallory, how did you do in GCSEs, A levels?
So GCSEs, I had my passion projects. So English, I think I left with a B, which was my highest grade. Everything else was like not that great. Maths, I think I left with a D. Science, maybe a C. There was, and you know what? Actually, one of the subjects I actually was really good at, ironically, was religious studies.
MashaAllah.
Like religious studies, I was just on the brink of getting a B. Literally just a couple months off of
Imam Shakil's in your head, like that's the answer.
But you know what though? I'll be honest with you. I do have a passion of understanding people's different cultures naturally. When the early days from I remember, some of the stories and from the Quran, and just like kind of understanding that like the religion that the religion of Islam, there's so many different stories that can relate to us as people now. And it's kind of like crazy how spot on.
It's timeless.
Yeah, like how certain like stories relate to life now.
Reality right now.
That, and and I think obviously there's different walks of life that have different perceptions, but in reality, I just was passionate about learning about that. I felt like that was one of the only subjects in school that I had interest in, and maybe geography, because again,
that links to that really.
Lands and stuff.
Lands, culture, like communities, environment, like how that impacts us. Like that's what I was passionate about. But I'm not gonna act like I was I was a whiz in class, and I always had my head down. I was focused because I'd be lying, Did
you go to A levels university?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I completed. So as I'd come out of GCSE school, I went to Christ the King in Lewisham, and I'd done sports education, sports management over there, and then
went to uni as well.
Went to uni.
What did you study in uni?
So in uni, I actually started doing sports management, but then I was like, I can't do this. And so what I'd done, and again, we can laugh and banter about this now because my dad knows this now, but I'd switched my subject without him knowing. So in his eyes, I was going to do the coaching and all of that. I was going to even learn some of my coaching badge and get into, football, because he still wasn't convinced that music was the path. But then I was like, I can't do, if I'm going to be in uni, even though I felt like I was doing so much outside of uni that I didn't even need to be in uni anyway, because my passion project was the music and the radio.
He was rapping at that time.
And but the rapping was long gone. Remember, that was in school. I was in school when I was rapping, so that was long gone. But music was, again, the same consistency was in music. I said, am I really going to waste all this money at least doing a subject that I don't feel passionate about? But I knew it would be harder to explain that to my dad at the time. So I just changed the subject from sports management to film, radio and television, which is the pathway. And I felt like if I was ever going to get the best grade, like in uni, it would be doing that
subject.
So I just done that, and I didn't look back. I just done it.
Which uni did you go to?
I was a uni called Canterbury Christchurch. It was in Kent University. The Kent area, near Kent University, but yeah, it's CCU, yeah. So I went there, and at that time, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to go. Honestly, I didn't have a passion. after college, I had tapped out with, you know, not with education, because I feel like life is one learning process and I'm always up for learning. But I didn't want to go and do that. But, you know, again, I wanted to, one of my parents' main things when they come over to this country is this son that we have has to complete education. Like, no matter what, whatever form of education he's in, that's why if you look at it, I've kind of done every bit of education that was there for me. You know, I went to the Madrasa. I went primary school. I went secondary school. I went college. I went university. I've done everything. You know, and
So on their part, you know, it's sometimes they look at the not alternative. What's the word? The opportunities in, let's say, back home.
Yeah,
it's difficult to get to university. Yeah. It's costly.
Yeah.
Spaces are very limited. If you want to get to university, you got to know someone. So they see when you come to a European Western country, that's like an achievement. Yeah, especially in those days, universities were free.
Yeah.
So let him get an education. It's not completely negative, but sometimes I think they go over the top in terms of, you know, it becomes a what's the word, like a status kind of thing.
I think, spot on. That's exactly what it is. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't feel like I wanted to do it. But again, you know, mashallah, I completed it. You know, and I'm so happy about that, you know, to this day. So, yeah, like but the reality is, you know, my passion project was always the radio and the music, you know. I will not shy from that.
So two things, Kenny. One, you know, I want you to get into kind of like, you know, how you got into the music industry in a big way. Mm-hmm. You know, you've, I think it's an album. Was it?
Yeah. So it was a
collective.
There was a contribution of things. Again, Abdul Latif will remember. I did spend a lot of time documenting a lot of the local artists. So I started locally.
Is that how you started off, basically?
Well, yeah. In a nutshell, it was like that. So obviously, I dabbled in, you know, the rap side of things, and, you know, I tried to kind of find a place that suited me and that I was most comfortable in.
Mm-hmm. So let me stop you there. One of your verses, what did it start with?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm still awake. Yeah, every time I breathe, my heart feels ache. Yeah. So I incorporated because of my story is deep. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of more deep at a time where grime was a thing and everyone was thinking about like shooting something exciting to say and something that was just fake. I wanted to come from an angle of consciousness kind of, you know? So it's crazy you remember that, but yeah, that's like a lot of my rhymes. It was about that because it's not like I had money. I was going through pain. You know, there was a lot going on in my life. So I just wanted to reflect that through the music, and then when I realized that I didn't have I was getting exhausted in trying to keep up with the other rappers around the area and trying that. I said, you know what? I think I found my place, and it's building platforms and helping the brothers and helping people. Like, I think that was one of the reasons why I got into this. Then I started documenting people around the area. It started.
Who did you showcase?
So again, there was no like well-known like rappers. It was literally like if I'm in Deptford, then the local, like my local friends in Deptford, I would go there. I'll go Peeps, you know. See my friends in Peeps, film them, like they'll be in the block just chilling. I'll be filming them and they're freestyling, and you know, then it branched out from the local Deptford Peeps area to across the bridge in Greenwich Charlton. Mm-hmm. So then I was going over there.
To the enemy side.
Going to the enemy side. And I remember, you know what's just funny? It's funny because even when I used to go there was a couple brothers in the area and I'm like, Kenny, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? You can't be over there. But then, you know what? There were times where a lot of the times, they understood what I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. Because the problem is, no one was documenting our area. Mm-hmm. Like Lewisham, unless you was like, maybe like a P-Money or unless you like someone that kind of already had something. You know, we had like big groups, Fatal Assassins and the grime groups, they're really known, innit? You know, they were known, and the Essentials and all these. But the generation under them, which I guess technically would be my generation, or maybe I'll be the generation under that. But the reality is, no one was documenting. So all these big platforms that was going on, no one wanted to come to Lewisham, and even like locally, like again across the bridge, no one wanted to go there. So I was going over there by myself. You know, again, my mum always supportive. You know, even though she didn't see the vision earlier on with the music, you know, she would always try and support because he felt like it was more positive than whatever else that I could have been doing.
Better than road and shoot.
There you go, because that would be the other route. Because I was actually growing up in and amongst violence, and our community was really rough.
So that was the other point, Kenny. Did you, in any time in your early years, when I say like teen and mid-teen and late teen years, get into anything which was, let's say, road life?
Yeah, well, to an extent, I was around it.
Okay.
I was around it. Never did I, you know, I'm not gonna...
Directly indulge in it?
Yeah, no. But I was around it a lot. Because at the end of the day, a lot of my closest friends were involved in, like, unfortunately, I'd lost friends to the streets, you know, so, and there was no running from it. Like, I lived amongst it, you know.
So would you say music, in that case for you, helped you keep away from certain things?
Yeah. And it also helped me, and it allowed me to be understood by different people in the area. Because I think, you know, Abdul Latif can attest to this. When you're like in Deptford and you got problems with, you know, Charlton, and then you got problems with Grove Park, then you got problems with all these areas. I went to school in Grove Park. They got problems with like my friends. But when I had started doing these platforms and building, like, they realized, all right, cool. Even though we don't really like his friends, and we probably don't even like him, he's like the only person that seems to like kind of want to try and help, and it seems like he's going in a direction where he can like bring light to the area.
Was that your vision? Was that your intention?
That was always my vision.
Even at that young age?
Yeah. I as soon as I stopped music, like rapping, I knew that this had to be it for me, like building platforms and building opportunities, because, you know, I knew where my passion lied, but I didn't know, like, it's just the execution that I had to get together. So yeah, man, I was just, yeah. So again, I was in and amongst everything, but yeah, you're right. It was a way out.
Yeah, mashallah.
It was a way out. Honestly, I don't know where I would be if I didn't pick up the camera to go start filming different areas. Because, you know, we started off in Deptford, then it went to, again, Charlton, then Kennington, then Peckham, then Brixton. One guy like me on the bus with my £70 camera going to all these different areas, and I'm just clean-hearted. You know, people used to tell me, Kenny, you're crazy. You're going to get robbed. Like, once they find out you're from a certain part of Lewisham, they're going to, you know what I'm saying? I've risked my life multiple times, but I wouldn't take back nothing.
It also shows, you know, like, you know, if you come towards people with goodness, like the way you've come, people are also good, and they reciprocate with goodness back.
Yeah.
When you come with negativity, people give back negative vibes. You come with goodness and you wish good for them, they give back positivity.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's the I only know how to approach life with that mentality. I'm not coming with harm. Like, I know there's a lot of people that will have people that will be watching this and be thinking, well, you know what, Ken, you kind of, you know, could do better because, you know, the music that you sometimes play or promote, and, you know, could be, but I always have to see the positive behind it, because I will never wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this to build fire amongst our communities and make things worse. I don't wake up with that mentality. I wake up with the mentality of what approach can I make to help change a life of somebody who could end up doing a madness. There are guys that start off rapping in a certain way and change their content because their lifestyle naturally changes off the back of an opportunity. It could be a freestyle I give them. It could be the opportunity to come into a big building that they never thought they would ever be in, and then they realize this 20 minutes in this building is better than being 20 minutes on their local estate or on their block. And that's just the mentality I have. I'm not perfect, and I've never, again, you've known me for a very long time. Like I've never pretended to act like I knew everything or tried to be, like I've got this, I've got this all mapped out. Like I'm the guy. I'm from humble beginnings, and I just want to help people that are from humble beginnings. And the reality of the matter is, a lot of the people from humble beginnings are from communities like ours, like in Lewisham, where it's high. There's a gang violence problem. There's a certain culture around it because that's generally what we are exposed to and what we see.
Kenny, so progressing from that now, MCing, DJing, you've got something on YouTube where you're kind of like a host. You're also a host for the BBC One Extra. So from, making those documentaries and filming, how did that leap happen? What moves did you make? Did somebody come to you, approach you, support you? Was it your own effort? Did you approach, BBC and so on?
I had done a lot of outreach. I tried to contact a lot of platforms and people, and from as big as, the BBC to even like the up and coming platforms that a lot of people, grew up listening to. I tried because I knew I felt like I'd kind of reached the ceiling with my one camera and getting on the bus and traveling around South London. I felt like there was so many different places that I couldn't reach just one man up. So I had to contact everyone. And radio was my passion, So again, I had contacted a lot of radio stations, whatever. Rejection, left, right, and centre. The door being closed on me. There was even a couple times where I've met some people on the way, and they used to tell me the reason why you're never gonna make it is because of the way you talk. Like you talk with you don't pronunciate words properly. You use too much slang in your lingo. I've had people honestly, I'm not making this up. There's been just to be honest, maybe you'll be better as a producer as opposed to a presenter. And then I was looking at a lot of the people that was already in those buildings. I was like, but I mean, there's black people there. There's people what I'm saying. But then I'm listening to them. I'm like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe this is gonna be a problem. The way I talk. To the point where I was just so stuck in my own head that I was even thinking, can I switch up my twang? Can I just how do I get this edge off? Is it, you know what I mean? And it didn't, and I actually tried, it didn't work. And then that's when I realized, I think it was the frustration of contacting, because I'd contacted so many different people. One of the head editors at BBC Radio 1 Extra, they had got back to me and brought me in for a conversation and basically helped me through the basics, which was good of him to do. This editor, Rob Littlejohn, and I was talking to him and he was just giving me advice on some pointers. And basically, in a nutshell, it was like, go back out there, learn your craft, be better.
Come back, yeah. And
I had thought I had achieved a lot of things in that time. I'd come back, then I was doing a residency where I felt like this was going to be my shot. And
what's the residency?
The residency is so basically it's like so let's put it in football terms, yeah. You got the first team, but then you got like the development squad, you got the academy, yeah. So let's treat the residency as the academy, yeah. So you go in, you do a couple shows here and there. They might be pre-recorded shows. You might not be ready to go live. You might do this, you might do that. Just to get like used to it. And I remember I had like an afternoon version of this. Bearing in mind, the music that I was into, it was always rap and everything. So I was trying to my thing was, let me just get on the platform. Because I think it's groundbreaking to be on the platform and I want to be there. And then I remember, I think what had happened, the irony is the residency was amongst two other brothers from the BBC Asian network.
Asian.
Yeah. So there's the different networks amongst the BBC Radio. Big up the brothers, Yasser and Mim Sheikh. Yeah. So the irony in it, like the residency, only one presenter was really gonna get like a show off the back of this. They're cool, like they're my brothers up to now, man. I love them too. Then yeah, I was doing like, we all had like maybe a month to kind of like take a certain slot and try and make it ours, in it, or like, you know, be good at it. And I remember after the residency was done, I knew that I wasn't gonna get it. I just felt like I was just, you know, and then, you know, the disappointment was again, go back outside, figure it out. And then that's when I was doing lots of other radio stations, and, you know, that's when in the midst of that I'm building the freestyle platform. Because what I understood is the currency in this industry is make yourself hot.
Value.
What value are you, what are you bringing to the table? And I had to do that. And that's what I spent my time doing, trying to build platforms and bring something back to say, okay, this is the tangible asset I have. And this is what I've been doing. So twice I even went in there, and twice, you know, I was unsuccessful. And as I'd finished university, my goal was come out of university and go straight in there. Because in my mind, I had what it takes. Even university, because of the subject I was doing, I may have just took it like a walk in the park from face value. A lot of the times there at the end of the year, I didn't even turn up to lectures. It was a bit of ignorance on my part, because I just felt like I knew what I was doing. And the irony of it is the radio pathway of this subject I had aced without even turning up. And even people, other students in my class, they didn't, I could tell that they didn't like me, because they felt like there was that kind of ignorant, that arrogance of like, you never turn up. And yeah, so in my mind, I was like, look, I'm finishing uni, I got this, I'm going to come out and I'm going straight in there. Watch. Come out, nothing. And you know what? Like, I remember at that part, I was like, I can either do one or two things. I've tried to get in there twice, nothing. I've done residencies, all these other like things, nothing. I could either give up. Maybe the path wasn't music. Maybe like my parents was right. Maybe it wasn't maybe I should have just stuck to the sports or done something different, or maybe stuck behind the camera or do production like that person told me that I was gonna be. But I said, no, you know what? No, I'm from a resilient family, you know. We don't give up. We just gotta keep on going. Even if it don't matter. I could just be doing 10 years of trying and not. I said, there's no way I'll come this far, and I'm not gonna make it. And then I kept on building amongst in the Lewisham community. And this is again back to the community and how important Lewisham is. Even when I used to come back to Lewisham, remember, I'm not on commercial radio at this time. People used to hail me up. They used to see me like, yo, Ken, what's going on? And that was like important to me. That was like,
the love was sincere.
The love was sincere in my own area. And then it became a thing where it was undeniable, because I was going to places and even the numbers I was doing in certain platforms, it was literally, it was rivaling what they were putting out, and big corporations. Yeah, on YouTube. You know, what with the Mad About Bars and these other platforms. So it just got to a point where, you know, the opportunity arose to go in there, got the phone call. And
they rang you this time.
Yeah. And that's why, you know what? There's belief in just doing what you need to do, be the best at what you do. And sometimes when you least expect it, the time will come. Inshallah, the time will come.
And the freestyle platform, that's still running up to now. You're doing that?
It's still running. It's still running up to now. 6.5 years now. It's been going, and it's been going strong. You know, it's been going strong, and I'm happy with how everything is kind of, you know, played out.
But also, have you worked with artists in terms of, rapping in with them?
So no, not in that sense. Not like as a rapper, or, you know, or even like giving them a suggestion of, you know, use this lyric and say this. But one thing I do nowadays is I'm a bit more I guess this is coming with age. I'm a bit more conscious with what is said on my platform. Because one thing I've realized is, see, once it's on YouTube and certain things they live there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always worry about my legacy when I'm gone. Like, I want to know that even though I do have, you know, freestyles or tracks or material that might be deemed as, you know, negative to some, I do want to know that as I'm getting older, I'm more, now that I've been through a lot more and more wiser, I can educate certain artists. All right, look, if you go on this platform and say this, number one, they're going to censor everything. So it goes against your art. And number two, people are going to think you're not really versatile with your craft and art. So I'll tell them, look, on this platform here, we need to be better. We got to, like, let's try and maybe say it in this way or try it, you know, bro, I can't, you said, you're saying mad things here, I can't put this on. Come back with another freestyle. Like, I've got to the stage now where I'm doing that now.
Okay.
You know, because at the end of the day...
That's powerful.
You know, because at the end of the day, look, again, like I said, I'm not perfect. But all I can do with, I guess, like me getting older and now being seen as somebody who's like I don't like the word gatekeeper, but like somebody who's looked to as somebody like kind of influential, you kind of need to be able to kind of direct people in a way where it's like, look, I'm doing this for you. You know what I mean? I'm doing this for you so it doesn't compromise your art and compromise yourself as an artist and what you bring to the booth and the game.
Two more things, Kenny. So one in terms of, you know, we want to showcase to our youngsters, you know, young viewers and youngsters who kind of like, you know, look up to you, follow you, and other, of course, you know, artists, RA, art ads, young ads, and so on. So the question I want to ask so that they can hear this, in the industry, do you showcase your Islam? Do you show, look, well, you know, I'm a Muslim and I'm proud of my faith and my tradition and my religion and my values and so on. Do you do that?
Maybe not as much as, you know, I'd probably like to, but then again, it's, you know, how do you...
The opportunity isn't there.
There you go. Like, until you contacted me, I've never been contacted by any of the brothers to say, you know...
And that's the bridge.
You get what I'm saying, though? Anybody who knows me, if you grew up with me, you've known you know I'm Muslim. Like, I've been coming to this mosque for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see... Like, a lot of people in the neighborhood know my dad, know my mum. Like, in my Block Diaries documentary, a lot of people will see that I've got a picture of it's like there's a surah in a frame behind my mum when she's talking. If you listen to the album, the last track is called Malika's Monologue.
Who's Malika?
Like Angel, like
okay, Malika's okay.
Yeah. So my mum is speaking. On there, she's praying for me.
MashaAllah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's if you want to, you know, like if you do your research and, you know, it's out there. But again, like Abdul Latif said, there's not been no opportunity. But I don't shy away from my religion.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't. But I'm also not a hypocrite. I can't say that I'm the person that's always on his deen. You know, I will never.
No one is.
Yeah.
No one is. I think sometimes, and sometimes you see in the comments, like, the majority of human beings are good people.
Yeah.
Like, the majority, 7 billion people, you would like to think 80% are good people. You're always going to get the loud 20% who think they know it all with their ignorant mind, who don't know Alif, Bat, Ta, A, B, C, D, will tell you, yo, this is that and this is that.
Yeah.
And even to defend some of these people, sometimes it comes from a nice place. Like, you want to give advice to someone, say, you know what, music might be like this and like that, but because they want good for you, not that they want badness for you, but they don't intellectually know Islamically anyway, the actual rulings or the different views, or they don't know that.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's ignorance twisted with a bit of maybe they want goodness for you, but then it pushes the people away.
I agree.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I think with your thing, I get it. Obviously, you know, we come from similar backgrounds. So when you know of certain people that used to do shootings and stabbings and whatever, and they start rapping, yes, is rapping good or whatever, that's another topic. But what he was doing was far worse than that. You understand?
And that's
so
the
he
way
stopped
I
that.
look at it.
That's what I'm trying to. So that's why I can see what you're trying to see.
That's the way I look at it.
And a lot of people don't see that sometimes.
And that's exactly the way I look at it. If you take these, at the end of the day, when you grow up in our community, you start off and the default setting is, I want to be a footballer or I want to be a musician. Literally, that's default setting. Because I guess the role models that we see are those of footballers, like athletes and, musicians.
And that's a narrative that needs to change, personally, I think.
Yeah. Look, you know what? I agree as well. Because let me be honest with you. When I said I wanted to be a DJ, it wasn't cool amongst my friends.
Like, that was a loser kind of thing.
What do you mean a DJ? You want to just play songs for a living? That's what you want your job to be. That's what some people used to laugh at, the fact that I wanted to do that. But I'm thankful. Alhamdulillah, I can do amazing things and I'm a DJ. Like that's just what I've changed a lot of people's lives by just playing music.
I think one word you mentioned about reality, making Islam real, and living it in a real way, and that also means understanding the difficulties and the context that youngsters are going through. Sometimes an answer is not black and white. You can only do this and you can't do this. It's not straightforward. Sometimes it's, okay, well, you know what, you're doing this. This might be a better option, and it's kind of like directing away towards something which is less negative or a bit more positive than what they were doing before. So I think that also is wisdom, akhi. It's wisdom that you had from an early age and wisdom that you are, dealing with the youngsters with.
Doesn't even Islam have a concept of the lesser of the two evils?
Yeah. أخف الضررين, the lesser of the two evils. Okay, you're doing this, but this is less. Do this. The other thing, Kenny, is quite important. Again, feel free to say you don't want to talk about it, or you can, or however you feel. It's more within the industry. Do you think within the industry, and I'm coming from kind of like, let's say, Islamic kind of like paradigm, there will be times where you might have to compromise your faith? And I'm looking at more, okay, it's kind of like sometimes the opposite gender, the parties, the alcohol, maybe drugs and so on. Or is it in that situation? Because I know like somebody like RA. RA wouldn't go to certain places. Because it'll compromise some of his principles, Islamic principles and values. What would be your kind of like take on that?
I think it comes down to choice. I mean, if you decide to obviously not fall into the temptation of what will be considered as haram or against your faith or not following the hadith, I think it comes down to...
Don't say like young ads, my imam said I can have 4 wives or 5 wives.
Yeah.
Justify it.
No, but you know what though? Actually, it does come down to choice. Like for me, for example, there's never been a time where I've not been comfortable just because I work for a big corporation to say that I'm Muslim. Some people have this theory, that in certain circles you'll get blocked, or you're like, it's never happened to me personally because of my faith. It's never to me personally, but again, there's probably cases out there where it has, and it's probably varies. Like I know, maybe some sisters, you might wear a hijab and maybe feel like they can't wear a hijab in certain places because they might be looked at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I know that that's a reality that, a lot of sisters go through. But for me, it comes down to choice. I'm a DJ that is predominantly in the clubs, Like, let's address the elephant in the room, I have to, I get paid off this, like this is my living. This is actually my life,
Even right now,
I'm actively, I go, but then I have been very conscious to know that I don't want to be in the clubs doing this into my 40s. And, what I'm saying? Like, that's just me. Because naturally when I start having children, I also want them to learn and know that, look, I do want to, because there's elements of me growing up that I really want to implement amongst, my children. And even if it's not being able to, I'm not saying they might not be able to go to a madrasa like the way I did, but please take some of the teachings that I've learned from here and how it's made me a better person. You know what I mean? And hopefully it's a thing where, you know, they can be better than I was, and that I actively probably still am, you know, when it comes to being a Muslim. But at the end of the day, you know, there are jobs that it's harder to stay on track. And my job will probably be in that category only because of the nature of how I'm making a living, right? You know? And I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's a passion of mine. When we're kids, sometimes we can't help what passion we want to follow, what route we want to follow, you know? Again, the reason why I fell in love with what I do is because it's all I had at a time where I felt like I didn't have much. So for me to part ways with that, I know there will be a deeper side to me that will be like, oh, you know what? I don't feel good.
Do you think, you know,
something's missing?
You mentioned about the platform that you have, the freestyle platform, and the advice you give to youngsters coming on and saying, well, say it this way, not this way, because look, there might be a negative impact of what you say. Do you think that approach could be with, let's say, with the DJing, where you might put certain boundaries for yourself and say, look, well, you know what, certain places, I'm going to be a bit more careful in terms of going there, because it might have a negative impact on my faith, on my iman. Do you think you could look into those boundaries? Is that a possibility?
I think, that's always a possibility to look into those boundaries, because naturally, you know, as a DJ, you know, there's certain place. But then again, I also think I'm very aware with where I'm playing anyway. So if I do a festival in front of, you know, 5,000 people, you know, there's a certain like process that just take you behind the scenes. When I get to the park or wherever the festival is, I'm pretty much, I don't want to say locked away, but I'm in my dressing room. I'm getting ready to do what I need to do, go do the set and go home. You know, there's some maybe
that's your way of doing it.
That's basically my way of doing it,
rather than coming into the crowd, whatever.
Exactly. But when I was younger,
you like that part.
I was like that.
Okay.
So when I was playing like more house parties and like I wanted to be in the mix, I was very like in the mix, and you know, I'm partying. I'm actually indulging. I'm in there. But I think, and I guess that comes with age, because again, like I'm still in my 20s, but I feel like I'm of a certain age that now I got to carry myself in a way where when someone looks at me, they're like, all right, cool. I like the way he carries himself. He carries himself with a certain level of maturity,
respect,
and dignity for himself. And that's kind of the way I look at. Maybe that's my way of doing that.
Yeah, but you're not saying that, Ken. I mean, you said, look, okay, you know what? I'm not fully in the crowd engaged. That's a positive, Akhi. That's a positive. That shows, look, you know what? There's a sense of consciousness. You know, and that's, I say, alhamdulillah, that's positive. And remember, end of the day, it's not the quantity of actions, it's the quality and sincerity Allah Almighty will look into. So it might be something small as that, but with Allah, it's big. Yeah, so it's positive. You know, one of the things that we kind of like, you know, with some of the artists, the rappers specifically, we've been kind of like engaging with. So we've said to them, look, you know, okay, you're doing this, especially some of them coming from, you know, gangs and drugs and so on. So I've told them, or we've told them, look, you know what, the boundaries that might be good for you guys is don't have naked women. When your videos, don't promote this, because that, you know, devaluing women and exposing women this way, that's not an Islamic kind of like principle and value. And alhamdulillah, all of them, they've kind of like said, look, you know what, you're right, Imam, you're right. So that's, again, on their part, that's something that they're trying, working on and trying with.
And that's like it's actually a good point you raised, because sometimes it's just education. Sometimes the brothers don't have like why I consider myself like very like lucky and privileged is, you know, I can still call you and kind of like get an understanding of something to help me with the journey that I'm on.
Make better
and
choices.
I also have a lot of like friends who are actually Muslim, and that but they also are like me, where they work in a certain industry And they're like, so we help each other. But a lot of brothers, they don't have that. So like, even just that little suggestion, these suggestions of maybe not have naked women in your videos, and maybe when you're doing a freestyle, be conscious of what you're saying and how it might affect your brother up the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way I see it is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Of course.
I think a lot of people, and I guess a lot of young people watching this, they will feel like it's a sprint to get on your deen. Like, you need to stop now. Everything, just stop now, pack it up. Any passion you've got, no, you must and I think I'm trying to normalize that you can be yourself and say you're Muslim. You get what I'm saying? Like that, I was talking to you on the phone, like, why I take coming on this podcast serious is because there's gonna be a whole community of people that didn't even know I'm Muslim, and you know, and they're gonna watch this and think, I didn't know. But not because I carry myself in a way like, you know, he don't carry himself like a Muslim, but because they think that it's not possible to be me and be in our faith. Yeah. And this is why education is important. Educate that we're like, the faith isn't about locking people, like saying like you can't stop what you're doing. Everyone stop what you're doing. That's not right. That's not what the faith is about. But there are people that have that perception on the faith. They think that it's about like you can't.
You isolate yourself.
You got to isolate. You can't have fun. You can't be yourself. You can't love music. You can't you know what I'm saying? And I think it's just education and knowing that, again, like, it's how you it's just how you carry yourself and just to be a better person, you know, in the industry that you're in, but also just be proud. Same way as I'm proud of my religion, I'm proud of being Nigerian. Once upon a time, it wasn't cool to be Nigerian.
FOB.
Literally, you're fob, you're this, you're that. Like, it was the Jamaicans that were ruling in school. Like, we weren't cool. But now, you look at, like, now, like, we're from the motherland, so it's like, now,
it's
more
cool to
people...
be African.
Yeah, it's cool now, but it wasn't before. So, you know, I have those similarities to, you know, Islam.
Islam is becoming a cool kind of thing. Like, it really is. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But there's that fine balance as well to be had with being cool, because
that's the thing.
Being cool comes with a lot.
That's
of
the problem. But you see, that's the thing as well, because, you know, there's even a time where a man would go jail and become Muslim. And then when you ask them, why did you take a shahada? And why did you convert? Like, some of them can't even explain necessarily. It's just a thing where there was a brotherhood they may have found in there, but they don't really, after the shahada, some brothers did not probably like carry it on to understand the religion a bit more.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like that. It's
cool to be it, but you don't understand fully.
Yeah, it's a bit. And I guess for me, like, again, I always try to stay true to myself. Would I have been a little bit different if I wasn't born into the religion? I'm not sure. Maybe so. But the reality is, I was born Muslim, and not once did I ever say that I don't ever want to be a Muslim. You know, there's been times where I've asked questions about this. I remember even when I could come to the Madrasa, there was probably times I was speaking to Imam Shakir and I'm trying to understand, like, why have we got to do this? Like, why is it like this? Like, why do we pray like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would ask questions.
And that's natural.
But that's natural, right?
It's more for education purposes.
There you go. Yeah. So, and I think that's just the important thing, just to, like, you know, learn. And now we're always learning, you know? So, yeah.
So just to wrap it up, because we've gone kind of way off time and we can keep chatting about many other topics.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. But we usually just finalize it. So obviously you're a big man now. You've done what you've done. What is it now that your younger self, we usually ask, like, you would advise your younger self now at this stage of your life?
Yeah.
What advice do you have to your younger self?
So the advice that I have to my younger self is simple, man. Take every bit of advice with a pinch of salt. Like, and also try not to be liked by everyone, because it's impossible.
In a time, especially of today, of likes.
Like, there's gonna be someone out there that doesn't like you. But when I was young, I was fixated on trying to be liked by everyone. Like, I wanted everyone to like me. Like, I was content that the way I carried myself in a way where how can you dislike me? You know what I'm saying? Like I try my best, right? So I would probably tell myself, like a young self, like there's gonna be people that like you, there's gonna be people that dislike you, but at the end of the day, make a difference. Make a difference. That's all. All you can do is try and make a difference, and it starts with your community. And that's why when I look back, I'm thankful that I've taken that advice now. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? So probably that's what I would.
Reminds me of verse. There's a verse in the Quran where Allah says, وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. The true believers don't fear the blame of the blamers. Meaning, what is right, what needs to be done, you know, you do it. Sometimes we get criticized for the bridge, not because sometimes the viewers don't understand what we're trying to do, and who the target audience is. It's not for everybody. It's youngsters who are following artists, and also we're bridging the artists themselves. You know, so but
it's a great concept. It's a great concept.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really is. You know, I've seen that so many interviews on this platform and just conversations that's just real. And I'm happy to be a part of it. Like, I'm happy to be a, you know, I was telling Abdul Latif that, you know, sometimes people like me, I just go on platforms that I connect with. Like, it's not about the, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do the views, and we're not trying to play that game. Like, I think I've worked enough and sweated enough in this game to just want to just talk to people that I want to talk to now. Shouldn't necessarily be about, you know, how this we're gonna monetize off this and what fan base will it bring. It's not about that.
And that comes with age.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're right.
Even the advice you give comes with age. I think I was probably recording one today about something similar that, you know, sometimes all of us, every human being right now, we all have negative, positive in our brain. There's something that speaks to us every day.
Yeah.
We make choices, positive, negative. And so when other people give you negative or positive advice, it depends on how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
You understand?
Agree.
You can choose to, like all those failings you had, like we was going through this conversation, you could have broken many years ago and said, forget this. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I'm not saying that's positive on it. I'm just saying sometimes a lot of us need to work on how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
Once you know how you think about yourself, and it doesn't mean someone can't criticize you, because that's another thing. People think, well, I know myself and no one can't tell me. No, someone can tell you something. Yeah. And if there's truth in it, if someone tells you you're overweight, then you have to look in the mirror and check the weight and say, am I overweight? Actually, I am. Let me go put on some weight. Or let me lose weight or go gym. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's not just internalizing everything, and at the same time, it's not also being defensive in life. You know, it's just like you said, a pinch of salt. Is it truth? Actually, if it's true, let me work on it. Let me better myself. Let me work on my craft. If it's not, thank you for your advice, Paul, but good luck to you. Having that balance is very rare for many youngsters.
True.
And probably many adults as well. So,
but also you know, it's when somebody is negative and their negative thoughts override their positive thoughts. What do? They give others negativity. So a youngster might come and say, well, I want to do this. You can't do it. You're silly. You're wasting your time. You're not good at that. No. But the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu, even in extreme cases where, you know what, you would look into that seerah and say, look, how can the Prophet peace be positive?
Crazy.
Yeah, you know, Khabab came and he said, oh, Messenger of Allah, in Mecca, we're being persecuted. Yeah, we're being tortured. And pray to Allah for us. What did he say? He said, look, be patient. A time will come when there'll be safety and ease. A travel will travel from this part to another part. Fear no one except Allah. Meaning prosperity, safety, goodness will come about. But he's giving them positivity. So also, it depends on the person. You know, have you got positive vibes? Because that's important to give to youngsters. Because also youngsters are seeing a lot of negativity. So, you know, having somebody like you know, Ken, and giving that to opportunities and positivity, that in this time is also crucial and important.
Yeah. No, spot on, Aki. Again, this is just the beginning of a journey. There's still a lot more chapters to the story, right? And again, I'm just thankful to still be in, you know, it could have been so much different. Let's put it that way.
And it has been for many.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm just happy to be here and, you know.
Can you give him a chance on a freestyle on your platform? Yeah.
Me and Abdul Latif's going to tap in after this.
Yeah, he told me he used to rap with you back in the day. So,
Rip it up, man.
you sure, yeah?
Come on, man. Yeah,
Two
man.
old tank clan days, you understand?
I'm telling you, it's different caliber to the levels now, trust me.
In English or in Somali? Does he rap in Somali or in English?
I'll let you answer that.
Anyway, we call it a wrap before we talk behind the scenes, yeah?
Yeah.
Jazakumullah khair for everyone watching. Jazakumullah khair for coming, bro. May Allah help you in your, adventures and guide you and help you in all your, plans or whatever you wish to do in the future, inshallah, yeah? I mean, barakallah fiqh for coming. Thank you for everyone watching and we catch you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.